less than 1% of illness is connected to genetics. And everyone's saying, oh, the genes did this, the genes did that. I go, no, less than 1%. And I said, well, then where is illness coming from? You ready? 90% of illness is due directly to stress. Not your biology, but your response to the world. And stress throws a monkey wrench in the harmony of the biological system. Stress pushes you from growth and joy and love into protection. Stress gets you ready for fight or flight. When you're not in stress, you're in growth and happiness. But today's world, stress is 24/7, 365. We were never designed for prolonged stress.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Espen podcast. I am Espen today. I have a big smile on my face and a lot of joy in my heart and enthusiasm in my mind as I get to spend time now, as we together get to spend time now with Dr. Bruce Lipton. As far as I'm concerned, the founder, creator, or at least the person that brought to the world what we know as epigenetics. Bruce Lipton, Ph.D, is a biologist and lecturer. He's an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirituality. This is going to be a conversation that you do not want to miss. So open your mind and open your heart, and let's dive straight in. Before Bruce was doing what he's doing now, he was at the faculty of Wisconsin School of Medicine and actually later performed what I will ask him about in a minute, which is the groundbreaking research that he did at Stanford University as a researcher in these fields. He's also the best-selling author of Biology of Belief. I'm going to just let that drop in, the Biology of Belief. Okay, so what that really means, it's a lot of it's in the words, and something that I'm going to ask Bruce about it later today as well, which is the honeymoon effect. I've been studying this lately, and I'm quite intrigued as to the power of this and how we can all have the effect of the honeymoon effect in our own lives. He's written many books. He's received in 2009, he received the prestigious Goi Peace Award in Japan in honor for his scientific contribution to world harmony, and so much more. I mean, honestly, the man needs no introduction, but nonetheless, welcome to the podcast, Bruce. How are you?
I am so happy to be here with you. I'm so excited because I know that your work in Oz is taking the theoretical knowledge of what we're talking about and giving it to the people so they can use it. You know, the knowledge I talk about is basically how to create heaven on earth. And I learned that because that was not my life for 40 plus years, but I learned it through my studies of cells and things like that. And it was really interesting because I had all the wisdom of, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And I was so excited to get some people in the room and say, listen, if you understand what I'm talking about, you create the most beautiful life. And at that time, they'd look at me and go, you know, Lipton, your life doesn't look so good for a guy who says you know this stuff. And it was the wake-up call that I needed, and that was this. I was talking the talk, but I was not walking the talk. And that is the most profound difference in the world. So no matter how much we can educate our mind, if we don't use this education and put it back into the system and live with this awareness, it means nothing. And so you can be really smart and have the worst life. Or you can use that intelligence and then manifest the best life. And I'm so happy to be here with you because you've been able to tackle this issue, bring it down, and then use it to help people and to inspire people and get them to take their power back and be the creator. So thank you for taking the wisdom and making an application for the people. That is the most important part.
I could not agree more. That's very special. And of course, I think many people watching and listening would know that you did a similar thing. You left the Stanford University, and I'll paraphrase and correct me if I'm wrong, because you realized that genes do not control life. Genes respond to life. Now you've innovated. You have followers from around the world, including me, and you have created something or brought to the world something. You mentioned before, but just before we jumped on, that it's not mine. It was downloaded kind of thing. And I want to ask, what made you have that shift from the standard allopathic, there is something wrong with you, and or the genes control life to genes respond to life, and we can change our reality, including our DNA structure and outcome of the epigenome accordingly. What was the shift for you in that?
Well, the shift was this. At the time back earlier in my career, I was teaching medical students the conventional wisdom that people receive today, that genes control the character of their lives. And then we also tell them that genes turn on and off by themselves. And I say, what were we teaching? Listen, what did the public get from that message? And the answer is this. As far as we know, we didn't pick the genes we came with. If we don't like the character of our life, you can't change the genes you came with. Then we add on top of that, the genes turn on and off by themselves, and all of a sudden it says, oh my God, the genes control me and I don't control the cells. Oh my God, there's cancer in the family. I can get cancer. Alzheimer's I can get Alzheimer's. Why? Because it was just thought it was a mechanism was passed down from generation to generation. The point of that story of genetics is victimization.
Yeah.
I'm a victim of my genes. I didn't pick them. I got them. Now I got to live with them or die with them based on what I got. It was disempowerment. It is disempowerment. And this is why most people in the world, they have an issue with their health. They want to go, oh, I got to go to the doctor because the genes did this. I have no control over them. Somebody else has control over them. And that means I am a victim. And the significance about that, victim means powerless. And therefore, we have disempowered an entire population with the belief that their life is not in their control, but in the control of their genetics. But I was teaching that at the time, teaching what I thought, well, that's the science, okay? But I was growing stem cells in the lab, so let's get what is a stem cell, because everybody hears about it. First thing is to understand this. A human body is not a single entity. A human body is comprised out of 50 trillion cells. The cells are the living entity. So our definition, whether it's Dr. Espen or Bruce here, we're not single entities, we're communities. We're communities of 50 trillion cells. Now, every second, we lose up to 3 million cells dying every second. The skin cells are dying, the blood cells are dying, hair cells are dying, all kinds of things are every second. At the end of the day, you lose hundreds of billions of cells every day. I go, well, what's the point? I said, well, how many days can you live if you keep losing hundreds of billions of cells every day? And all of a sudden you start to realize, all of a sudden, very short lifespan, boom, used all the cells, gone. But we're still here. And we haven't seen the loss. I go, so why? How? And I go, aha! Because inside your population, there are embryonic cells that can replace every one of the cells that is dying. These embryonic cells have a name called stem cells. Now, they are embryonic cells. I'll give you a simple reason. A moment before you're born, I could show you a cell and say, that's an embryonic cell. I wait a moment after you're born, look at the same cell and go, oh, that's a stem cell. We changed the name because embryonic was when you were an embryo. When you're born, change the name. So I was working with embryonic cells, stem cells. What was I doing? I was cloning them. What the heck does that mean? It means I just put one cell in the petri dish all by itself. And I say, so what? I say, the cell divides every 10 or 12 hours. I go, so? I say, well, first I put one cell in, and 10 hours later I have 2 cells, and 10 hours later I got 4 cells, and I have 8, 16, 32, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the week, I got 30,000 cells in the petri dish. I go, so? I go, they all came from one parent. Mm-hmm. So I say, what does that mean? 30,000 genetically identical cells. Now, that's not the experiment. That's the start. I said, what is it? I did. I said, I split the 30,000 cells, 10,000 into each of 3 dishes. Dishes 1, 2, 3, 10,000 cells. But all dishes, the cells were genetically the same. We grow cells in a fluid environment. They live in a fluid. They're like fish. I go, so what? I said, well, they have to grow in a fluid. I said, well, what do we call the fluid that we grow cells in? It's called culture medium. I said, what does it represent? This is going to come back in a minute, so hold on. Culture medium is a laboratory version of blood. So if I grow human cells, I make culture medium. I look at what does human blood have in it, and then I mix it up in culture medium, okay? Point about it is, since I'm mixing up the culture medium, I can change some of the constituents just a little bit. So I make 3 different versions of culture medium, almost the same, but some chemistry difference between the 3. I have 3 dishes. And so each dish gets its own version of culture medium. So let's call the culture medium A, B, C. The dish is 1, 2, 3. So in dish 1, culture medium A, environment A, because it's the environment. Dish number 2, culture medium B, the environment. C is in dish number 3. So I say, so what? After 3 or 4 days, in dish 1, the cells form muscle. In dish 2, the cells form bone. In dish 3, the cells form fat cells. Well, the big question is, what controlled their fate? Why muscle, bone, or fat? Was it the genes? I go, well, they all had the same genes. What was different? The chemistry of the culture medium. So the genes were being adjusted by the environment, the culture medium. In this environment, the cells muscle, in this environment, bone, and the other environment, fat cells. And all of a sudden it says, oh my God, the genes didn't control this. It was controlled by the environment. Well, now let's transcend the culture dish, the plastic dish with cells in it, and tell you a fact. Each of us is a skin-covered petri dish. Underneath your skin, you have 50 trillion cells. And the original culture medium, blood. Does it make a difference if the cell's in the plastic dish or the skin dish? I said, no. It's still fate. The fate is still controlled by the environment, the culture medium, blood. So I say, so what is it that controls our genes? I say, the chemistry of the blood. And then I have to go, well, wait, who controls the chemistry of the blood? The brain is the chemist. I go, oh, so the brain releases chemistry into the blood, which then controls our genetics and our behavior. I go, yeah. Now comes the most important one, the most important question of all. What chemistry should the brain put into the blood? The answer, whatever picture you have in your mind, the brain translates the picture into complementary chemistry. It's like paint by numbers in reverse. Here's the picture, then you break it up into different colors, and then those colors become chemistry, which then goes into the cells and paints your body to match the picture. Your cells are like pixels, and the chemistry turns them into a picture. Your biology is a reflection of your consciousness. You change your consciousness, you change the chemistry. You change the chemistry, you change the genetics. I go, wait a minute. This means that genes did not control this. I say, no, your consciousness controls this. And all of a sudden, well, then I'm not a victim of my heredity. I go, no, you're the master of your genetic expression. Change your consciousness, change the genetic activity. I'll give it 2 examples in a lecture. I say, if there's a picture of love in your life, the brain releases love-based chemistry. You get oxytocin that bonds you to your lover. You get dopamine, which is pleasure for being in love. You get growth hormone. The brain releases that in love. What does it do? It enhances your vitality. That's why when people fall in love, they're healthier than they've ever been. They're the happiest and healthiest people. Oh, look how in love they are. See how they glow. I go, that's chemistry, folks. I go, but what if I picture a fear in my head? I say, oh, well, then you don't release love chemistry. You release protection chemistry, stress hormones, and factors that affect the immune system, preparing you for fight or flight. I go, oh. So as I change the picture, I change the chemistry. And the chemistry selects my genetics. All of a sudden I said, well, then I'm the master of my genes because I'm the one that's sending the messages. Now the question is, what messages are you sending? Because all of a sudden it says, your thoughts are controlling your genetics. I go, well, everybody wants to be healthy and happy. That's a nice thought. I want to be healthy. I go, great. I want to have great relationship. Great thought. I want to have a wonderful job. Great. I'm going to attend Dr. Espen's lecture because I'm going to improve my life. Great. These are great thoughts. They come from the mind. And all of a sudden I say, well, oh my God, there are two minds. And if you don't know the difference between them, the game is a mystery. I say, what are the two minds? One is called the conscious mind. One is called the subconscious mind. I say, each of them has a function, and they're different functions, but they work together. I say, what are the functions? The conscious mind is the creative mind, and it's connected to your spirituality, an energy field, okay? The subconscious mind is a data collector. It's a hard drive. It's got programs in it. It's not thinking, it's programmed. And I go, oh, so the subconscious has programs. I go, yeah. I say, when did the programs come into the subconscious? Oh, listen to this. 3 months before you were born, you were already downloading programs.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 7 years, you download programs. I say, how do you download a program? The mind observes the world and downloads the behavior it sees. So when you grow up in a family, the baby watches the mother and father. And the brain in a baby state is in hypnosis up through age 7. So I said, why is that important? Well, how do I become a member of a family? Watch your parents. They'll show you. How do I become a member of the community? Well, you better watch the community and learn the rules from that. That's programming. So the idea is this: for 7 years, the subconscious mind is in a state of hypnosis, downloading behavior. And the reason is simple. The brain is a computer. The old days, go out and buy a brand new computer, and you bring it home and you push start and the screen lights up and we say, yes, computer's booted. And I say, now do something. You go, well, can't do anything yet. And I said, what do you mean? Got a brand new computer? He said, well, first I have to put programs in, then I can use the computer. I go, aha! The brain is a computer. You can't use it until you first put programs in. So the first 7 years is programming by what? Watching other people. Now there's a slight problem. I'll tell you what the problem might be. Your wishes and your desires may not be the same wishes and desires as your parent, let's say. But you downloaded their behavior. So when you are using a program from your subconscious, you're not expressing what you want. You're expressing the download that you got, okay? So the point is this. The conscious mind's creative. It can have wishes and desires. That's what it is. If I ask Dr. Espen, tell me what you want out of your life, he's going to tell me all the wishes and desires. I go, that's conscious mind creativity expressing itself. And I say, what about subconscious? I go, oh, those are programs. And it's funny because a lot of people have come away with the idea that the subconscious is evil. I go, well, wait, let's first recognize this. Subconscious is a hard drive. Mm-hmm. Is the hard drive in your computer evil? Well, no, it just has programs. Can some of the programs be bad? Oh, yeah. Is it the hard drive's fault? No, that's the program's fault. So I'm going to say what? The subconscious mind is a hard drive. It downloads programs, observing other people, get the machine kicking off the ground. But after age 7, the conscious mind can then take the control of the wheel and drive you to what? Wishes and desires. I go, yeah, that's the creative character, the conscious mind, wishes and desires. And I go, great. After age 7, you can create the life you want. And I go, but how come when we look around, the life we have is not the one we want? Where's the violence come from? Where's the anger come from? Where's the disease coming from? That's not what I want. Where the hell is it coming from? And here comes the answer. And Dr. Espen knows this because he understands this in helping people get out of the problem. So let's say what the problem is, and that is this. Subconscious mind programs, push the button, and it plays. It's great to have. I say, wait, when did you learn how to walk? Before 2. Are you still walking? You could be 102. You're still walking? That's a program. When did you get it? Before 2. Talking, walking, driving a car, playing a music instrument, These are programs. When you practice or when you download them, they become behaviors. And they're great if you have good programs, because that means you don't have to think about it. You can drive the car without thinking about it. It's a program, okay? So the point is this. The hard drive, subconscious, is not evil. It's just a hard drive. What you download are there good programs and there are bad programs? If you download a bad program, it's just like in a computer. Download a program that has a glitch in it. Well, guess what? It'll never work right. I go, So I have programs. But you say, but I don't need those because I have the creative conscious mind, wishes and desires, so I can override the program. I go, yeah, but we think with our conscious mind. So what? I go, thinking is not looking out because the thought is inside. So when you are driving down the street and you're paying attention, you're seeing the roads, the cars, and blah, 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 you're just paying attention. But if you start thinking, the conscious mind's no longer looking out the window because thinking is inside. Look, Dr. Espen and I are here on Tuesday, and I say, hey, Doc, tell me what you're doing on Thursday. And I presume it's not written down in front of him, but I know that within seconds he's going to come up and say, oh, I'm doing this and this. I said, where'd you get that information? Or I thought about it. I said, then where was your attention? Inside. A thought is inside. So I say, so if I'm looking out my eyes like a windshield and driving my body vehicle to destinations of wishes and desires, that's really great. But if I start thinking, my vision is no longer looking out the window. Now it's looking inside. But what if you're really driving a car? What if you're driving a car and all of a sudden you start thinking? I go, then you're not looking out the windshield anymore because your consciousness is looking inside. I go, then who's driving the car? Subconscious autopilot. It steps in. Its autopilot has a program to drive the car. You don't need to pay attention. Subconscious is more powerful than the conscious mind. Do it for you. Well, if you train and you were a good driver, that's really great. But if you were a bad driver and you're not paying attention, you're going to do bad driving all over the place, because here's the issue. This is the whole issue. Dr. Espen's working on this with people. Let's get right to the issue. And the issue is this. When you are thinking, your behavior by default is controlled by the subconscious mind, below conscious, okay? And I go, but what's the relevance of that? And the idea is you don't see the behavior from the subconscious mind. I go, why not? Because you're not paying attention. You're thinking. So the conscious mind's not observing what's going on. But the behavior coming out is not coming from the creative mind. It's inside looking. It's coming from the program. And if you have a negative program, then you're going to create a negative behavior. But you won't see it. I go, why not? Because you don't see the automatic behavior coming out because your attention is actually inside thinking. So I say, so what does that mean? Well, everyone around you sees the program. And if it's a negative program, what do you think they're going to do? Respond in a negative way. And all of a sudden you're going to find, well, people are interfering with my life. That person interfered. These people are interfering with my life. I go, you didn't know you were the one that was the first one sending out the broadcast that they're reacting to. And you didn't see it. You see them. And I said, what is the ultimate consequence? I say, I'm a victim. I wanted to be successful. Look at the mess. And those people did it. Those people did it. I go, you weren't involved? Oh, no. You were actually the source of the problem. You were creating behaviors that you didn't see that were sabotaging you. For 40 years, I tell the same story. So Dr. S probably heard it now maybe half a dozen times, but here's the story. You have a friend. You know your friend's behavior pretty well. You happen to know your friend's parent. One day, you see your friend has the exact same behavior as the parent. You got to tell your friend, you go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. I'm going to tell you, and you already know, what Bill's response. He's going to say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And I said, It's interesting. Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. Who's the one that can't see it? Bill. Why? Why is he playing that program? Because he's thinking, so he doesn't see him playing his dad's program. Now, you ready for this one? We are all Bill. Every one of us, every day, 5% of our life is coming from the wishes and desires, but 95% of the time we're thinking. So if you're thinking 95% of the time, then where is your behavior 95% coming from? The program. Yeah. And whose beliefs are downloaded in that program? First 7 years, other people's, not yours. And this affects your life. Well, I can tell you very simply. I know this personally. Why? My father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship, but I'm a kid. I'm in that family. My job by biology is watch my father because that's the pattern. And I watch him and I download his behavior. And then I go out to my life and I want to make relationships. But when 95% of my behavior is the copy of my father's program, that's what I downloaded, I couldn't get a relationship off the ground. But I didn't see it. I just knew it. I have trouble with relationships. Well, I didn't realize it was me that was generating my father's behavior, which then pushed other people away. I say, so what can you do about it? Well, this is the part. First, when you recognize the problem, you can rewrite the program.
Mm-hmm.
And I rewrote those programs of relationship. And the best part of it was, then around 50, I met my partner, Margaret, with great programs now in my subconscious of relationship programs. We've been on a honeymoon 28 years. Every day. Every day we wake up, we're in love. Every day we're happy. Every day, I don't care what the hell's going on in that world. It's not messing with my creation, with my Margaret, my experience. And all of a sudden it says, in the midst of all the crazy, I'm not there. Why? It was my choice to participate because of programming, and it was my choice to change the programs. Well, what am I telling you? I mean, just go to Dr. Espen's programs. His programs are the ones that help you reprogram, and that's the whole point. Take your power back. But you didn't even know you lost it. You were thinking, I'm a victim of all the circumstances. Why my life isn't working? I go, no. Let me give you a health insight. There's a health crisis all over this planet. I said, what's responsible? You ready? Less. I'm going to emphasize again. Less than 1% of illness is connected to genetics. And everyone's saying, oh, the genes did this, the genes did that. I go, no, less than 1%. And I said, well, then where is illness coming from? You ready? 90% of illness is due directly to stress. Not your biology.
Absolutely.
But your response to the world. And stress throws a monkey wrench in the harmony of the biological system. Stress pushes you from growth and joy and love into protection. Stress gets you ready for fight or flight. When you're not in stress, you're in growth and happiness. But today's world, stress is 24/7, 365. We were never designed for prolonged stress. And I say, back in the caveman's days, I say, what'd you have to be stressed over then? They said, saber-toothed tiger. I go, oh, so if the saber-toothed tiger's coming, what are you going to do? I'm going to run like hell. So I say, when that tiger comes, the system gets into fight or flight, releasing stress hormones, getting ready to run. But if you make it 5 minutes, 7, 10 minutes, and you outrun that saber-toothed tiger, there's no more saber-toothed tiger. And guess what? Okay, no more stress. Back to living, happy, wholeness, and growth. But in today's world, stress is 24/7, 365. We were never designed for prolonged stress. It's chronic stress that causes over 90% of illness on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to fix the body. It's not working right. This isn't working. My heart's not working really so good. My gut's not really feeling so good. My kidneys are bad. Let's fix the machine down here. No, it all starts here and then goes down there. So you can throw all the chemistry and drugs you want at the system, but if you don't change the source, which is consciousness, then you're going to die with the drugs in your hand because the drugs aren't going to help you. And this is the issue. And the issue is, well, knowledge is power. I go, what do you mean? Well, if you have knowledge that you've been programmed to be a victim, then you have knowledge to how to get the hell out of being a victim. I said, well, what knowledge is that? Well, I said, don't ask me. Ask Dr. Espen. That's his job. But my job is basically to create the understanding of how it works. And so I think stress should be talked about as to how does it cause a problem? Let me simplify it for you. When you're in growth, you're open to take things in. Food, love, joy. Growth is open, and you go to the source, you go to the stimulus, arms open, take it in. But protection is the opposite. Protection is the stimulus is threatening, so you don't go to the stimulus, you go away from the stimulus. Do you stay open? I say, no, you close yourself down to protect you. So I say, okay, let's look at it now simply. Growth, go to the stimulus, arms open. Protection, go away from the stimulus, arms close. You can't go forwards and backwards at the same time. You can't be open and closed at the same time. And therefore, you're either in growth or you're in protection, but you can't be in both.
Yeah.
Today's world is threatening. Threatening to the extent that I don't know if you're going to get paid next week, if you're going to have the job next week, or am I going to get sick in the following week, or is there going to be an accident and I can't? And all of a sudden you start to realize life's not so easy as you might have thought it was. It's kind of threatening out there. The more you see stress, the more you release stress hormones into the body. So now make a mechanism. Here it is. You ready? When you're in growth, the gut is the primary mechanism that keeps you healthy. Digestion, excretion, clean the system, repair the system. That's the function of these organs. But when you're in threat, running away from the tiger, you use your arms and legs. Okay, so what's the point? The blood carries the energy. Right. So if I'm in a state of growth, the blood is in my gut. It's funding the mechanisms that keep me healthy. But if that saber-toothed tiger shows up, the stress hormones cause the blood vessels in my gut to squeeze shut. I said, what happens then? I said, that pushes the blood to go to my arms and legs. It's in the gut until the blood vessels squeeze shut. Then the next flow for the blood is the arms and legs. So I said, what does that mean? Well, the moment the stress hormones are released, you shut down the growth and maintenance of the body because the blood vessels are not delivering blood energy to take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay? You can actually feel it. I said, what do you mean? When people get afraid, they get butterflies in the stomach. They get a fluttering. They get a queasy feeling. Well, I'll tell you what that queasy feeling is. It's blood vessels shutting themselves down. You can feel it. It's like fluttering, blood vessel squeeze, shutting. You can feel it, okay? I say, so what? Well, when you're in that moment of threat and stress, you shut down the maintenance of the body to prepare yourself to put the blood in the arms and legs for the running part, okay? So I say, yep, that's an important part of conserving energy to run. There's something else now. I go, what's that? The immune system uses a lot of energy. I go, really? I say, well, if you've ever been sick, you may have not had the energy to get out of the bed. When you're sick, you're drained of energy. I say, why? Because the immune system uses a lot of energy to keep you healthy. So I say, okay, let's create a scenario. You have a bacterial infection. Ooh, bad case of diarrhea is brewing right now. And you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. How do you want to split the energy? How much energy should I put in to run away from the tiger? How much energy should I use to kill those bacteria? The answer, no brainer. I say, why? All the energy goes to running away from the tiger. Why? Well, if the tiger catches you, then I wouldn't worry about the bacteria anymore because you got no more problem. You're dead. So, fact, stress hormones shut off the immune system to conserve energy so you could escape. And I say, how effective? Listen how effective it is. When doctors want to transplant an organ from person A and put it into person B, they don't want the recipient of the organ, they don't want the immune system to reject the foreign graft. They give the recipient, before the operation, stress hormones. Why? Shuts down the immune system. Then they can do the operation. And the idea is, yeah, stress hormones are so good at shutting off the immune system, they use it in transplant operations. So I just said two things. When you're in stress, which is today 24/7, you're inhibiting the growth and maintenance of your body, which is automatically going to prepare you for disease. Especially, things are falling apart, but you're not paying attention. Why? Because you're ready to run. Okay. And then I say, what else? I say, well, you're shutting down the immune system. So now you're open to what? Everything, including cancer. Why? You shut off the immune system because you need the energy to run away from that scary whatever they're selling you.
Mm-hmm.
So I say two things then. Strike one and two. Shut down the growth and maintenance, shut down the immune system. And there's a third one. A third effect. I call it adding insult to an injury. I go, what's that? The forebrain behind here is conscious thinking, where you can think and do what and plan and do all that kind of stuff. 90% of the brain back here is called subconscious. That's where all the programs are, okay? I go, so what's the point? Thinking is a slow process. If you're in a car and it's going out of control, and you stayed in your conscious mind, I'm going to replay that act right now. You're in the car, it's skidding off the road, and you're in the conscious mind. Let's play it. And it goes like, oh, okay. Because thinking is so slow, you can't make a rapid response. But the subconscious, that's the super processor, the supercomputer. And the subconscious is when you get in an accident, all of a sudden you find you're turning the wheels, hitting the pedals, doing everything. So fast, faster than you can think. Subconscious, okay? So I say, so what's the third effect of stress hormones? Remember effect number one, they squeeze the blood vessels in the gut shut and push the blood to the outside. Stress hormones squeeze the blood vessels in the forebrain, conscious mind, shut. So the blood goes to the hindbrain, reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I say, so what's the result? When you're under stress, you have lost your intelligence and now you're just reacting to life. I say, oh my God. Shut down the growth, shut down the immune system, shut down the intelligence. And then all of a sudden you see why there's a healthcare crisis on this planet. And that is because the chemistry of protection is counter to the chemistry of growth. The more protection you think you need, the faster you're going to die. Because we overused it. It was only supposed to be good for 10 minutes on and off, back into regular life again. But now it's off, and it's staying off most of the day, and you're in stress most of the day. You are compromised your health. So over 90% of the healthcare crisis on this planet has nothing to do with genes. Only less than 1% has genes. The rest of it is stress. And I say, well, where do you get it? I say, watch the news. Surf the web. Look out your window.
Yeah. Tune into mainstream media.
We're
certain there'll be some stress. Yeah. Bruce, brilliant. And I love how you refer back to the imprint period, the age of 1 to 7, and how the majority of the imprint, indeed, call it programs, is coming from whoever raised us and the environment. Now, we know that we can change it. We know that if we have 100 say patients or people in the room and they've all been diagnosed with a chronic disease, which means that they've had symptomatology over longer than 6 months, they are officially, according to the allopathic system, diagnosed with the pathology. We know that out of those 100 people diagnosed sick, less than, as you stated before, and the numbers now are even changing again, this tiny percentage of 5 to 1%, whichever, is actually then related to the gene. It may be passed down certain pathologies, but the absolute majority are created by the environment and can be changed by the environment as you change the program. So when I heard this idea many years ago, and I read your book, The Biology of Belief, firstly, I had to take a hard look in the mirror because I recognized, as you said, that I'm the creator of my reality, unconsciously or subconsciously, and of course, consciously. Then I came about an ancient Indian philosophy that basically stated that the energy system, the chakra system, is blocked by many things, of course, incoherence and toxicity, and of course, let's call it physical, mental, emotional, spiritual stress within the system. And I specifically referred to emotions. And for me, growing up, my brother died when I was 5. My mum became a heavy drinker at that point because she didn't know how to deal with the loss of her son. And I was raised in a pretty rough way. And so I suppressed so many emotions, Bruce. I was very strong mentally, but impeccably weak emotionally. And so then I ended up, having a beautiful universal lesson here in Australia in 2006. I crashed a motorcycle and broke both my legs. I was put in hospital. I did everything that I was told, including pharmacology, you name it. And I lost 15 kilos, and 2 years later, almost 2 years later, I was dying. I remember one day the surgeon walked in, he looked at me and said, "We're going to take your leg off because if we do, we can stop this staph infection from going systemic and you ended up with sepsis effectively." And in that moment, I recognized that if it is to be, it's up to me. I couldn't sit there and wait for the doctors and the nurses and the hospitals and the drugs to fix me because I tried it. I lost 15 kilos and I knew that I was dying. I went home, and as I started doing breath work, which is one of the main modalities that I teach now, and I know we've got a documentary coming out soon called Quest for Youth, which I want to, yourself, we have Dispenza Martini, myself, and a couple other legends in there. So if we have time, we'll touch on that. But I wanted to ask you, Bruce, when I realized that how impeccably emotionally unintelligent I was as a young man, how much I had suppressed these emotions of fear, guilt, and shame. When I discovered this ancient Indian philosophy that said fear blocks the first energy center, guilt the second, shame the third, grief the fourth, and so on, I went on a deep dive to change the programming of the unconscious, to change the expression of the epigenome in my cellular structure, aka my quality of life, my homeostasis, to live a magnificent life. And now I lead people through a basically 3-day journey where we heal our greatest fear, which normally is, of course, from the imprint period, father or mother mostly. Then we go through guilt, clearing the guilt from 30 on the Hawkins scale to, guilt to gratitude, etc. Then shame, then grief. And I just wanted to ask, as I speak of such a hypothesis, what is the relation in your experience between the ultimate expression of the epigenome? By that, I mean full health and homeostasis, and emotions specifically. What are your thoughts?
Well, emotions are energy. And there are energies that can advance your life, and there are energies that can cancel your life. So all of a sudden I say, well, which emotions are which, The stress is an emotion in itself. Anger is an emotion, but love is an emotion. But love can take you positive. Anger can take you negative. So emotions are gauges that determine, am I moving toward health or am I moving away from health? And that's when people are not paying attention to their emotions, because that's a lot of our programming as children. Oh, don't go by your feelings. Listen to what the person has to say. I go, first thing, you screwed up, because all organisms are designed to read vibration. Emotions are tones or colors of vibration, okay? And I go, so why is this important? The most primitive organisms on this planet only navigate by reading the vibration in the field. And the vibes, and people talk about it, and I give it in my lectures. It's quantum physics, and it has to do with energy interacting. And there's something called good vibes and bad vibes. I said, what are good vibes? When the energy around you is in harmony with you, it takes your energy and lifts it up. Good vibe. But if the energy around you is threatening to your energy, it cancels your energy. Bad vibes. So primitive organisms just read the energy field. A snail comes out of an egg. It has no mother to see, no father, has no school. It says, hey, day one, what the hell am I supposed to do? And the snail, I always say, on the dashboard is only one gauge. I said, what is it? Energy. I said, what does it do? As the snail goes through the world, if the energy goes higher, it says more life. More energy is life. More life, more energy. But if they go in this direction and the energy gets lower, it says turn around. Your energy is threatened. Go the other way. So should I eat this plant? Well, does the energy of the plant match my energy and I feel better with this plant? Or is this, I eat this one and it makes me feel worse because the energy is taking away my life? So all of a sudden I said, well, then everything is based on energy. I go, yes, consciousness is energy. Emotions are shades of energy. And I go, so why is that important? Because you have a gauge in you right now. It's called the emotion gauge. What gauge is that? I said, but what are your feelings? Are you in the right place or the wrong place? You can tell. Ask yourself. Your heart will tell you. Your heart reads energy. Your brain reads observations and facts. The heart doesn't care. The heart just says, is the energy good or the energy bad? It's very interesting. In carrying out our lives, we have a tendency to make a decision. Let's think about it. I said, what are you doing when you're thinking? Well, I'm looking at all the pros and the cons of if I do this thing. I go, if you make one mistake, I thought this was a positive sign. No, it turns out that was a negative one. And you make a judgment and put that mistake in there, then your answer is wrong. I go, the heart doesn't care about the details. The heart is an energy sensory device. It reads the energy. And so you can think your way to a conclusion. I said, but before you act on that conclusion, the next and most important step is ask yourself, how do I feel about this decision? And the truth comes out from the heart. It will say, I don't think so. Or it could say, yeah, that's really great. Or it could say, it makes no difference. Those are three options. I say, how do you know? Your body will tell you.
Exactly.
Your heart will inform you. Are you leading your life with your heart or are you leading it with your mind? I go, what's the difference? Well, the mind is programmed. The heart doesn't respond to program. It just says, what's the energy? Good or bad? And that's where, if you were using that as a compass, you'd always find yourself in the right place. When you meet somebody, before you even talk to them, you grab the energy. You can feel, I feel good near this person. Oh, their energy is in harmony with you. I don't feel that. I feel a little edgy near this person. It says, no, that energy is not supporting you. But we were told not to go by feelings. I go, well, that was the first disempowerment move you had.
Yeah.
Because it was the feelings that was the compass. And if you don't pay attention to it, you end up in the wrong place with the wrong people. Why? You never felt the vibe. And it was the vibe that determines this. Every decision we make is based on that vibe. In my lecture, in the beginning, it was only women that used to come, but now I'm so happy because now almost half my audience is men, meaning over 30 years, there were no men, and now it's coming up 50-50, which is a sign that men are awakening to what we have to do here. The women were more sensitive. Now the men are catching up. But I would give the story. I say there's a high-end department store here called Nordstrom's, and I say there's a big shoe sale. They have 10 pairs of shoes on sale, all the same price, but they're different styles. I say, so you go in and you're going to buy a pair of shoes. And then I ask, what made you decide on the pair you finally selected? It wasn't the price. They're all the same price. You know what it was? They made me feel good. The vibe of those shoes is more in harmony with me. I made a decision based on vibes. I say you do that all the time, whether you pay attention or not. I'm making a decision. Does it give me energy or does it take away my energy? And then, unfortunately, we're programmed to, sometimes you lose your energy and it goes away and that's okay. And I go, it's not okay. You're not paying attention. As soon as you do that, you lost it. And the point about it is what? Well, it's emotion. What's emotion? Well, love and fear are emotions, but they have different directions. Love makes me go to the source. Fear makes me go away from the source. But they're emotions. They determine my mobility. They determine where I was going or not going. But if you're unaware of the emotions and unaware of it, and then you go, well, this is the way we always do it. I go, yeah, but maybe the way you always do it is wrong. How about that? How about take it back? I remember the very first time, because here's something that people should learn. Energy is a currency. In our world of people, money is energy. Yeah, you got money, you can do what you want. You got no money, you can't do what you want. It's energy, money, how much you have. You have a checkbook. You don't write stupid checks and give away your money because that's your life. You put your money where you get something back. I say, I want to give you an energy checkbook. I said, what does that mean? Well, every action takes energy. And the point is this, do you want to expend your energy for this or not? I go, does it give you anything back? And if it doesn't give you anything back, then why would you write a check and give away your energy? Well, that's just because that's the way the social structure is. Now, I don't care how the social structure is. We're all in trouble with that at this point.
Yeah.
The most important point is this. Your engagement in anything in this life requires energy. And if the energy you put in does not return, then it's the same as writing a check and giving away your money, and you're not doing that. So what if I give you an energy checkbook? Then all of a sudden you start to be careful and say, oh, I'd rather do that because makes me feel good. Oh, I don't want to do that one because it makes me feel bad. And I go, oh, now you're making a decision on feelings. What is what? Energy, emotions. That's what it's all based on. But you're not paying attention because we live in conforming. I'll do it because it's the way everybody does it. I go, I don't care if it's the way everybody does it. If I'm going to lose my energy over, what the hell do I want to do it for? I had a choice. I'll never forget the very first day I'm contemplating all this from building up from my understanding of cells and community and all that other stuff. And I was sitting at my desk going over this, what we're talking about right now, saying, yeah, the use of energy. Yeah. And I was in my office and one of my faculty colleagues came in and he said, Bruce, don't forget the faculty party is on Saturday night. What are you bringing? And I go, oh, shoot. I hate those things. Why? We're not social anyway. And all we do is spend Saturday night holding a drink, pretending we're having a good time. And I work all week. And then I'm going to give away Saturday night to stand around and not be happy. It was at that moment of thinking of all this that I turned around and said, oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot that I made other plans. I even remember. I'm so sorry. I won't be able to make it. I have to do these other things. And you're not going? I go, no. He walked out. The moment he walked out, I was like celebrating. Yeah! Oh, yeah! What did I do? I just got Saturday night for myself.
Exactly.
Because I gave it away because that's the way we always did it. And it's like after working a whole week, what the hell do I want to spend one of my nights off standing around like an idiot waiting for this thing to end? And the joy was as soon as he walked out, it was like, oh, my God, I just got Saturday night for me. Immediately, my mind said, what's next? What else am I cutting out? And trim that energy budget. So my life is more my life.
This is big. This is really big. And so what I love to do as we're going through interviews like this is to bring it back to the audience. Where in your life right now, if you go back and listen to the start of this, perhaps share this with as many people as you can. Where in your life have you borrowed programs that aren't serving you anymore, that's expressing a lower level of health, something to consider. And of course, in this conversations, where in your life do you perhaps need some boundaries to say no to some people and or at least begin to tune in to emotion and intention, maybe even intuition in the certain scenarios like Bruce is explaining right now. I don't want to go to this party. It feels good not to go to this party. So I will speak that out. And what else can I quote unquote cut out of my life? Brilliant exercise for everyone to do in terms of, I love asking the question, how does this feel in my body, right? Does it feel light and beautiful and coherent, or does it feel yucky, sticky? Do I feel like, that doesn't feel good? Let's tune into that and make also decisions from that space. I love it. Bruce, just checking in time-wise, it's now on the hour. How are we able to go a bit longer?
Well, we got a few more minutes. If you have a few, I have a few. Let's go.
Absolutely, sir. I'm honored. Let's go. I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
I hope I have some rapid answers. I have no idea.
Let's do it, mate. Okay, so we've sent this out to our students, and they've sent through some questions. Some of them are great fans, and they all send their regards, as do I. So Fatma is asking, will a person's epigene recover from years of trauma, and if so, how?
Okay. What is epigenetics? The answer is this. A gene is a blueprint, just like in an architect's office. It's a blueprint to make a protein, which is the building blocks of your body, 100,000 different protein building blocks. And the gene is to replace those proteins because proteins wear out. So a gene is a blueprint. I go, so what? I say, well, that's why go into an architect's office and ask, is your blueprint on or off? And they'll say, what, are you crazy? It's a blueprint. I go, is your gene on and off? No. It's a blueprint. It doesn't have on and off. I say, then what works? I say, well, the architect works with the blueprint. I go, so the architect reads the blueprint, but the architect can take his pencil and cross it out and say, no, I want to change this and make this. And so an architect can adjust the blueprint. Epigenetics is adjusting the blueprint. Here's the gene. That's the blueprint. But my mind can look at the blueprint and say, no, I want to change it. I can adjust it. I can make 3,000 different proteins from one gene blueprint based on how I look at the world. Epigenetics is the architect, which is the mind, writing the blueprint program and changing it to accommodate the life necessary. So you could have a defective gene, but if your consciousness is in the right place, it will change the readout and make it work okay. And the bigger problem is you came with really good genes, and then through your programming, you actually cause them to cause a disease. Such, for example, as cancer. 90% of cancer has no family linkage at all. It's just the individual whose life is affecting their genetics that cause the cancer. There's no gene that caused cancer. There's not one gene. You got this gene, you got cancer. Genes are correlated with cancer, meaning they don't cause it. But if you put the environment in such a situation, you may activate that gene.
Exactly.
And if that environment is not put into place, then the gene will be dormant and never bother you. So the idea of gene turned on, gene turned off is BS, belief system. And the idea about it is this. Genes are read or not read or read and written based on our consciousness. Therefore, you are the master of this. And when you have something you don't like, change your behavior and you'll change the epigenetics. Epigenetics are markers. They're not permanent part of the blueprint. They can be replaced and rewritten, but you have to engage a behavior to make it work in a different way. All of a sudden it says, don't wait for the gene to make this. It doesn't make that decision. You make the decision. And so the idea, I'm a victim of my genetics, I say, no, you are the master of your genetics. If it's not working right, it's the architect in your head that needs to be adjusted, not the genes.
Done. I think that's so spot on. Beck is asking, what are the 3 top anti-aging superpowers that we have but don't know or may not know?
Okay. Number 1, aging is a program. I said, what do you mean? I say, as a child, when we get programs and we download programs, how do you do it? You take your life experiences and you turn them into a program. I said, what did you see when you were a kid? Well, first they were young kids, and then they got bigger, and then they became parents, and then they became grandparents, and they got smaller. And I said, what does it mean? You said, oh, I start this way and I go that way, and then I go downhill. I go, that's your observation. I say, yeah, but that's a program. Now, when I live, I get to a point and say, oh, I'm too old to do this. I say, biggest mistake you ever made was saying that saying. Because the moment you said I'm too old, you have now programmed yourself, I am too old. There's no too old. If you start to recognize this, you push yourself. One of the most important things about staying healthy is this. Every system in your body, from the muscles to the brain, works under this simple understanding. Use it or lose it. The moment you stop using something, the biology is very efficient. It doesn't hold on to a trophy. Hey, I used to use these muscles when I was a kid. See how they're still here? I go, no. You stop using them, they go away. The brain, dementia, the greatest cause of dementia is lack of use of the brain. When people get old, they lose community and interaction, and that is the start of dementia. So you want to stay young? Then keep moving. And keep the idea that there is no age, because it's the moment you visualize age that you encourage the program called aging. Okay? We're supposed to live to 150 years minimum. And you go, well, we're having trouble getting to 100. Now I'll give you the answer. This is another part about staying young. And most people don't know this because it's not really fully out in the world, although I've seen the science that starts the meaning of it. I say, what is it? Do you know plants get energy from the sun? Oh, there's a thing called chloroplasts, and they take sun energy and convert it into biological fuel. The human body has something called melanin, a pigment. It's in the skin, in the hair. It's all over the body. I say, what is it? It's a crystal. I go, what does it do? It takes energy out of the atmosphere. 85% of the energy required by our cells does not come from food. It comes straight out of the atmosphere.
Boom.
Which says, well, then we don't need to eat as much food. I go, aha! Because it's the amount of food we eat that limits our lifespan. Yeah. What do you mean? If in laboratory animals, we used to, like in my lab, I'd have rats. What do we do? Well, they live in a cage. We throw a whole pile of rat pellet food. They could eat anytime they want, 24 hours a day, anytime they want. They could eat. Once we started to recognize, wait, we're giving them too much food. If we give them just what we call subsistence amount, just enough food, they doubled their lifespan. The rats, the dogs, the monkeys, and now also recognized in humans. The reason why we are shortening our lifespan is food is fuel. When you burn fuel, you get byproducts that are toxic. You don't breathe the exhaust out of your car. It's toxic. The exhaust from digestion is called free radicals, which are charged elements, charged atoms, okay? Their charge is so high when they hit a cell, they punch a hole in the cell. Punching holes in the cell kills the cells. The more you eat, the more free radicals you have. The more free radicals you have, the more you kill your cells. The more you activate your stem cells to keep replacing those cells that you're killing to a point where you can't replace them so fast. And then you've died about 100, 70 to 100, because you haven't been living in harmony and you eat way too much food. There are individuals called breatharians. They say they don't eat. Whether they eat or they don't eat, if they eat a little tiny amount. You're eating supersized, they eat a little tiny amount. They don't eat food like we do. And they're healthy as anybody else is. Why? We have a misperception that all of our energy comes from food. I go, no, 85% free download coming to you through the environment. Food is for fun. It's not for survival like that. And therefore, all of a sudden it says, well, if we cut out most of the food, then you could essentially live to a minimum of 150. But with stress and food, well, now you got a double strike right there at that point. Aging, use it or lose it. Don't stop using it. Food, cut it down to an absolute minimum amount. You can't stop it. You wean off of it.
Yeah.
You eat less, a little bit less, very small amount. But over time, you'll start to be full with a small amount of food.
It's incredible.
Misprogramming that.
Yeah, I started the intermittent fasting. 10 years ago, I started intermittent fasting, and I'm now in my 40s, and my biological age is 31. And so, through epigenetic markers, gene methylation testing, tracking it over time. And so, I truly do believe also that we're overfed and undernourished. And what we call food is not food, they're food like products. So, let's be clear, when Dr. Bruce is talking
No,
about
it's
food, we're
filling.
talking about real food here, guys, and reducing
Absolutely,
calories.
that is important. Let me say, let me emphasize again, just to emphasize what you just said. Remember, I told you the blood carries the chemistry to the body, and the blood has the so-called nourishment in it. Okay, if you start eating factory farm industrial food, you're eating filler, but not getting a lot of nutrients out of it, not getting a lot of energy out of it. You'll feel satisfied. Yeah, I ate the meal. I'm not hungry. I say, yeah. Did you get any benefit from what you digested? And the answer is no.
Did you
I
get
go, so then
toxins?
why are you eating it?
Exactly.
It is. It is. Basically. So my whole idea is eat natural, organic, biodynamic food. Get away from factory farm food. They're filling you, but not nourishing you.
Yeah, and what they're filling you with may not be in your best interest either to bioaccumulate whatever's in
Absolutely no.
there. Let's not even go there.
Whatever the cheapest, whatever the cheapest way it is to give it to you, they'll do that. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
All right, last couple of questions for you. This one's from Angie. I love
Yeah,
this question. If there was one class or experience, Dr. Bruce, that you could carry out with children around the world in schools, what would that class or experiment be?
that whole class would be about how powerful they are, not taking away the power like all of us who grew up. We lost our power not when we were teenagers. We lost our power when we were infants. The Jesuits have told their followers for 400 years, give me the child until it is 7 and I will show you the man. They were the first ones to learn that 7-year programming determines 95% of the rest of your life. And that's when all of a sudden they created Catholic school. Of course, why? Well, keep them as Catholic their whole life. Give them that schooling when they're 7, they'll be Catholics when they die. That's the game. But that was a long time ago. They're now programming kids in a much different way. So I would take programming in a whole different slant, especially as school age kids. I'll give you a reason why, because I see it here in the States. They teach something called STEM, which is education focusing on engineering, math, science, and stuff like that. I say, but when I went to school, and I'm old, we
Hang
had
on, is that a
classes called
program?
music.
You are so young and healthy.
And we had. I'm 80, monkey. So I'm having a good time. But the point about it is, when I went to school, we had creative classes, art, music, singing, and all that, besides math and science and engineering. Because here's the point, when I said use it or lose it, that's a developmental processing. If you do not give the child a chance to use their creative ability, they lose it. And the rest of their life is just technician to follow what somebody says and what they do, but there's no creativity to it. Post-World War II, the U.S. was number 1 technology in the entire world. Today, we're about number 30. I said, what happened? We took away creativity. We were programming kids just to repeat the formula. Repeat what I just said. Is there any creativity? No, don't create your own formula. Repeat my formula. I said, oh my God. We took away an ability for children to think and be creative. And we must give it back. And I know in Australia, there's something called cutting the head off the tall poppy, which is what? If a student exceeds in creativity and ability others, the issue is not cut their head off. Make them the same as all the other people. I go, big mistake.
Yeah, ultimate mistake. Imagine shutting down creativity of someone that is naturally designed to express. I mean, no wonder that'll cause stress in the system.
Yes.
How crazy. How crazy. Bruce, I want to ask you something that I really think that the world needs to pay attention to, or not needs, but could certainly benefit from paying attention to is something that I know you've been teaching and traveling around the world, and you refer to as the honeymoon effect. And I think this
Yes.
is just absolutely awesome. So before we get into it, I just want to point out, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and viewers, please share this with as many people as you can, because it only takes one share with one person to hear it to go, oh, I do have a program. Oh, I do need to tune into intuition. There's so much in this. And also
Yeah.
maybe do yourself the favor of check out Dr. Bruce's Honeymoon Effect. I know you're traveling all around the world. I hope to get to one of your lectures soon. But tell us about the Honeymoon Effect. How does it work? And where can people find some more information about it? I'm really excited about this.
Okay. We're going to start with first on understanding. Most people have seen a movie called The Matrix. And Matrix is listed as science fiction. I totally disagree with that. It's actually a documentary. I go, what do you mean? Well, the premise of The Matrix is everybody's been programmed. I go, that's not a premise. That's a reality. Everybody's been programmed for the first 7 years.
Yep.
But in The Matrix, they said, if you take a red pill, you can get out of the program. Guess what? Science has found out. When you fall in love, that's the same as the red pill. I go, why? I said, why are we playing the program? Let's go back a half hour ago. Why are we playing the program? And the answer is this, because the conscious mind's busy thinking 95% of the time, so the programs are the automatic control, okay? So I said, well, how do you get out of the program? Well, stop thinking. Because if you stop thinking, then you're not defaulting to the program. You stay in the conscious mind, which is creativity. I say, science has recognized that when we fall in love, we stop thinking. You stay what is called mindful. You stay what is called present. I go, why? Well, think about it this way. When you're thinking, you're disconnecting. But you found this person and you're in love. I say, why do you want to be thinking? You want to be here now. You want to enjoy the love. So you stay in your conscious mind and you live in the present moment. Life is great. Life is wonderful. You stop playing the program. Then what? Well, the creative mind is now the conscious mind. When you were playing the program was the creative mind. You stop playing the program, the conscious mind's creative. I said, yeah, but that's wishes and desires. What did you think you created when you fell in love? Heaven on earth. I said, how'd you do that? Your life was blah, 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 blah. You meet this person 24 hours later. Oh, I'm so in love. Oh, I'm so happy. Everything is wonderful. What the hell happened? A whole life, blah, blah, blah. In 24 hours, you live in heaven on earth? The answer is the first time in your life you stopped thinking. And when you stopped thinking, you became creator. I say, well, who's creator? Conscious mind. What's that? Wishes and desires. What do you think you manifested? The wishes of being happy and love and honeymoon and life is beautiful, and you did it. But the honeymoon seems to be short for a number of people. I go, why? Well, how'd you get the honeymoon? You stopped thinking and you just lived in the present moment. But guess what? You have a job, you have responsibilities, you have chores, you have things you have to do. And at some point you start thinking again. So I say, so what's the critical understanding? When you were not thinking, your partner never saw your developmental programs. You never played a program. You were playing who you wanted to be. But the moment you start thinking, guess what? Conscious mind's thinking, program shows up. Well, that's where the negative crap is. And all of a sudden your partner in your honeymoon never saw the negative crap because you didn't play the program. But once you start thinking and the negative comes up, the relationship starts to suffer. To the extent of what? The honeymoon disappears. To the extent that 50% of people finally realize that's not the person I married. Because the program is not the conscious mind, the program is the program mind. They married the person's conscious mind, wishes and desires. They get the divorce when the programs start manifesting, and most of them are negative. And so what is the honeymoon? The honeymoon is a realization that if you weren't playing the damn program, you'd have heaven on earth every day. Then comes what? Well, what if I rewrite the program? I go, now that is the whole game. Rewrite the program. Have your subconscious programs be the same as your wishes and desires. Why? Well, if you're not thinking, your wishes and desires are going to take you there. If you start thinking, your new programs, which are wishes and desires, will still take you there. Whether you're thinking or not thinking, you're going toward that destination you want. Rewrite the program. My buddy here on the other screen, Dr. Espen, stick with him. He'll show you that because he's good at it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And rewriting the program is, would you say, a lifelong process?
No, because once you rewrite a program, that's a program until you change it again. Look, you learned how to walk before you were 2. You're still walking. What's the point? Once a program's in, it's not going to change unless you change it. Mm-hmm. So if I change a program today to one I like, I'm not going to change it back.
So the question is, how many programs do we need to change? Right?
Well, that was the point of what are my programs? And I said, your life is a printout of your programs. Change the ones you struggle with. Leave the ones that give you what you want. Don't deal with them. They're already good. Mm-hmm. It's the struggle ones that's the program.
I love this. You're touring, you're lecturing on the Honeymoon Effect and many other things. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, website, brucelipton.com. Facebook is Bruce Lipton, Ph.D. in one word, and at Bruce Lipton on Instagram, etc. Go and check this out. Check out the lectures. If you're lucky enough to get in, I know several friends of mine in Europe, they're coming. One of my clients is coming to your lecture, I believe, around London, around sometime in July. Check out the website, look it up, see if you can get yourself a ticket if you can get in. Really excited. And I also know there's a fair bit on the Honeymoon Effect, both on YouTube and on Gaia. Is that correct?
Yes.
So go there.
Well, the biology of belief is on Gaia. That's the main one.
Oh, and guys, if you haven't got the biology of belief read at least 2 or 3 times, really download it, read it, whatever, consume it to the point where you really understand that your biology is an effect of the belief, change your biology. And of course, there is so much more to it as well. I wanted to ask you, Bruce, I mean, we're observing the world. The world is changing. I say the darker the dark, the brighter the light. We've seen manipulation in so much of the messaging. We've seen fear in the messaging. We can kind of see through the veil of illusion now. We understand that this fear doesn't serve us anymore. Many have made a conscious decision to vibrate from a place of love, to toggle on those dormant genetics that we know are available inside of us. Many of our community have decided to purify the vessel, to reduce the calories, to breathe, to meditate, to eat clean foods, and to pray or whatever. Yeah.
Take care of the machine. I mean, you have a car, you want to keep it, take care of the pieces and get it tuned and do the right thing. Keep it right. I'm still driving a 96 Nissan. Why? It works perfectly well. Why? Because I service it. My body is a machine. Service it. Because it's going to allow you to have a few 100,000 more extra miles on it.
And with that in mind, my question is, what do you think is happening in the world right now?
We're facing an evolutionary crisis, and I'll give a simple reason. If we want to keep civilization working today, just say, look, just keep it the way it is. Don't change anything. It takes 1.6 planet Earths to provide the resources for today's civilization. Problem? There is no extra 0.6 Earth to get the resources from. We have been pillaging the environment and destroying the environment without recognizing we are the environment. That's where we came from. If the environment goes, so do we go. And so the whole idea is this. Today's civilization is heading on a self-destructive path that NASA scientists say 20 years from now. And the point is what? We can't fix the civilization. It's rotten at the bottom, the way it's been built. Buckminster Fuller, a futurist, said, don't go in and try and change the situation. Step outside and create a better one. And then the people will come outside. And I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be here with my partner, Dr. Espen, because he's one of the guys that says, let's change the civilization. Let's get your power back. Because I'll tell you the truth, I trust your power, every one of you in this audience, more than I trust the government or the corporations of this world, because they're out for themselves.
Of
And if
course.
all of us as just the people of the world decided we want heaven on earth and adjusted our biology and our behavior, well, heaven on earth is a honeymoon. And it's always available. Just step into it.
And I love that analogy because often people try to go somewhere else, but it's rather bringing heaven on earth here and now. If we can understand
Exactly.
the idea of, removing interference from our existence, dropping into love and being fully present, we are experiencing the honeymoon effect and heaven on earth here and now. We can recreate and be a part of a new world. Why ask what's happening with the world, even though I asked because I wanted your opinion? Now that we have some ideas and tools, why don't we go and create that right here and right now? Dr. Bruce, it's an honor. I'm really excited about this. And I know we've got a documentary coming out. I had the privilege of being in that. It's called Quest for Youth. And you're talking about this amazing stuff that you're teaching now. What are some of your focuses moving forward? I know you're traveling, you're lecturing, you're in your 80s. And to be honest, your life force at 80, that's something to aspire to. What's your focus, say, Dr. Bruce, in the next 12 months?
Stay as happy as I can be. I put out of my life anything that takes away the joy out of my life. I don't need it because I'm enjoying a visit to this planet. And people think, oh, you die and you go to heaven. And I go, no, you were born. This is heaven. I go, how can this be heaven? Look at all the mess. I go, well, that's because we have been programmed to create that. If we change the program and stay in love, you don't have all this mess. And I say, so why is this important? Because we came here to create. We came here as a creation. And it's fun because I never believed in spirituality until the cells showed me the mechanism, and I saw, oh my God, there's an energy field, and the cells have antennas that pick up the energy field. So I'm downloading an identity and all this stuff, and I started to recognize. Because when I didn't believe in spirituality. Then I saw the mechanism through quantum physics, energy fields, and cells with antennas that pick up the energy fields. And each of us have a different set of antennas, so no two people get the same broadcast. I said, oh my God, that's spirituality playing through my virtual reality suit, which gives me sensation and emotions and feelings and all that. And at that moment, I asked a question because now all of a sudden I said, oh my God, I'm a spirit and I'm not even in here, which all of a sudden led to the most important thing is you can't die. You're not even in here. I go, what do you mean? I say, this is like a television set. The body is a television set. The spirit is a broadcast. I go, so why? I say, you're watching TV, the TV breaks, the TV's dead. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. When the TV died, did the broadcast die?
Nope.
No, it's still there. I say, so what? Well, another embryo shows up, and if it has the same antennas, self-receptors are called, as you have, you're back in a different TV. Male or female, that's the TV, it's not you. White, brown, red, black, yellow, that's the TV, that's not you. We're all broadcasts. The bodies are just a TV set, okay? So I asked myself when I recognized that I have this spiritual existence, I said, then why have a body? Why have a body? Why not just be spirit? And that 50 trillion cells welled up with the answer. I always joke, I call them the Jewish comedian cells. I go, what do you mean? I go, Jewish comedian, they get asked a question, they answer with a question. I asked a question, why have a body and a spirit? Why not just be the spirit? The cells welled up with the answer in the form of a question. They said to me, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like?
Exactly.
Now, you think about that for a few minutes, folks.
Exactly.
Because it basically said, what is it? This body converts the energy we live in into sensation. And we came here to experience life, sensation, smell, taste, touch, sound, feelings. These are coming from your body. And all of a sudden I said, wow. So my body is an enhancement of my spirit? I go, 100%. Your body tells you, what is life when it's happy? What is life when it's not happy? And all of a sudden your body is giving you this information. Well, if you understand that and you're the control, then why don't you make it happy every day? Oh, you can do that. Yes. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Awesome.
We are creating it. We're creating heaven. So you don't die and go to heaven. If you die, you missed heaven. What do you mean you missed it? This body allows us to create and manifest. When you have no body, you just have a spirit. You can't do this. So the whole idea is you were born into heaven to manifest heaven on earth. So when you die, you carry the experiences, love and joy and health and happiness, if you had a good life, or miserable, pain, anger. If you don't have a good life, you're going to walk away with that one. So follow Dr. Espen, because he will help you take that pathway that says life is a joy. Life is for fun. Life is for health and happiness. Take the new knowledge, the new science, and reprogram it. If you're not in the right place, it's a matter of program change. That's all it is. And you could have heaven on earth every day of your life.
If I had a mic, I would drop it right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
I would love a sequel at some point and go deeper into the spiritual and quantum physics aspects of energy and consciousness. So if I'd be so blessed, I'll email your team and see what we can tee up, Bruce. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So much.
And I would love to be with you again. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
And if there's anything that we can do to support your work, please do let us know. Thank you for sharing the love. Thank you for being your energy within this presentation, within this lecture, within this interview in itself speaks even more than the words that you've shared. And so we're really, really grateful for your heart and for your love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To the awakening of human consciousness, sir, thank you for your contribution.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Dr. Bruce Lipton, everybody.
All right.